tournament has been quite good.
We're 2-2.
3-1 is a good score.
То место мы хотели 4-0, но не пошло.
많이 힘든 상황이죠 지금.
It's been a rough start.
Every game we're getting better.
I think we did pretty fine last time, so we don't have to change too much. We just gotta try and play solid.
앞으로는 다른 나라의 메타에 맞춰서 전략을 연구하거나 플레이 스타일을 바꿔야 될 것 같아요.
If we just keep focus, we can do this. We can go 7-1.
저희 팀이 가진 약점을 보완해서 이겨내서 남은 경기 모두를 다 이겨야겠고.
I want to control my own destiny.
Tomorrow is today.
We want to win every game, play by play, inch by inch.
We can't lose a game. If we lose a game, we're pretty much out.
With 3 wins, we will be surely in, and I think that's what we will aim for.
We came here to win.
The road to the biggest event in esports begins right here.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the League of Legends Season 3 World Championship! I'm Ify Shock supporter coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, in front of this incredible studio audience. And now that we've all had a day to catch our breath after the first 3 days of Worlds, we're back with 5 more Group B matches. But before we get to the games, let's send it around the League of Legends studio and meet our fantastic, talented, and handsome casters.
Thank you very much, Shucks. At the very least, Kobe is. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, sitting alongside Sam, Kobe, Hartman, Kensel, and today we'll be bringing you the play-by-play for the first 3 Group B games, starting with Korea's Samsung Galaxy Ozone taking on Europe's Red Hot Gambit.
I'm sure everyone's anxious to see if Ozone was able to run a Gambit-esque mini bootcamp during their time off and get their game back on track, or if the European teams Gambit and Fnatic will keep rolling and hold on to their spots at the top of Group B.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait a couple of minutes, though, because the answer to that question will be found right now. We need to teleport up to D-Man, who's keeping it dapper in our interview lounge.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. I am Lee D-Man Smith, and all night long, Shocks and I will be sitting down with the players of Group B to talk about the World Championship experiences on and off the Rift. But before I can interview the winners, we're going to have to play some games. So right now, we're going to turn it over to Riv and the guys at the analysis desk.
Thank you very much, D-Man. What's going on, everybody? I'm Rivington Bislin III, and spawning into the analyst desk with me today is David Freak Turley. And I got to say, Freak, it's been a while since we've been sitting on next to each other at the same desk.
I'm glad it's back.
It's been a while. It's been a while. We're mostly pleased to have back our panel of experts, OGN caster Monte Cristo, Evil Geniuses Crepo, and CLG's All-Star Carry, Double Lift. And everyone, it's time to put your boots 5, because we're about to run through the best plays, the deepest dives of Tuesday's Group 5 stage matches.
5 teams from Group A were back in action on the 3rd day of the Season 3 World Championships. And in the first game of the day, the Lemon Dogs were able to survive OMG's unrelenting early pressure to secure a little momentum for themselves.
He will use the Zonias, but he's miles away from the rest of the team. He's still managing to get away. There is the elastic slingshot in. Let's bounce comes down. Lovelin's going to have to try and escape this one. Flash over the wall from Tam. That's a double kill for him, and it will end with a 2-0.
But that momentum would turn into overconfidence, and a costly dive from Nukeduk would give OMG their 4th win in a row.
Here is Going moving around the side as well. He's got 3 of them trapped in. There is a crescendo. Cool going to be locked down, but can he get the charm onto Dexter? Yes, he can. It's Sam that finishes off as Nukeduk tried to get Loveland there at the back, but now he's running for his life. They're going to pick up the Nexus kill and go 3-0 here with that victory over Lemon Dogs in Group A.
It was David versus Goliath in Game 2, and the Giants from SKT T1 wreaked havoc all over the map to run away with the win.
Mazarine there going to throw down the barrel, but Shen going to come into this one. Lands a taunt. Mazarine is a dead man. Well, when it rains, it pours here, as Alania now being troubled underneath the turret of his own Faker, tanking that one up. That'll switch off. It's going to go down. Alania picks one up there, but that's kills everywhere for SKT. Brilliant performance. They pick themselves back up.
Up next was Lemon Dogs versus Team Solo Mid. Or should I say, the analysts.
I'm going to go ahead and say Lemon Dogs.
I'm going with Lemon Dogs. I have to go with Lemon Dogs as well.
I'm going with Lemon Dogs here.
Ooh, you got a boo.
I'm getting. It's going to be a lot of that.
Versus the home crowd. TSM got off on the wrong foot as the Lemon Dogs caught the odd one for both first and second blood.
Oh, this is bad news. He's going to get taunted. He's going to get charmed. Odd one is a dead man. First blood Lemon Dogs. He's going to have to vault Faker through. There's the taunt though. They stop him. Cocoon lands as well. He flashes over the top, but they're going to keep chasing. Dyrus coming down from the top lane. Lots of damage to the odd one. One more hit will do it. Dexter picks up the kill.
But the odd one kept his head in the game and helped Reginald get going.
Oh, and there's the assault and battery going through. Nukeduk here in so much trouble underneath the tower. Reginald picks up the kill. That will bring them level on the kills and ahead in gold.
TSM would go on to win in convincing fashion, getting the shutdown on their critics for now.
There is Zoro Zero coming down, a big fight going on as Reginald dives into the back, picks up 1 kill. Can they get more? Yes, Zoro Zero's down. Nitty won't escape. Now they chase down Dexter as well. He'll be locked up, finished off by a double kill there from Reginald. TSM get the victory against the Lemon Dogs, and that's going to give them a massive boost of confidence here going forward in the groups.
It was the team without a win taking on the team without a loss when Gaming Gear took on OMG.
Fiddle is still alive! Fiddle gets out cleanly before Elinure comes in. Throws down the Massacre to secure the first kill of the game for Gaming Gear. Now he's running, and like only Elinure can. The Bloodwell comes out. He's stuck down in the passive, and OMG are going to pick up a very, very clean victory.
16-3 in 25 minutes, not even giving up a single turret kill themselves, and they move to 4-0 halfway through the group stage.
In the last game of the day, all eyes were on the mid lane matchup of Faker versus Reginald. But SKT were focused on the top lane and shutting down Dyrus.
There's a bit of damage coming down. Impact lands the stun. Dyrus maybe should not have gone back in. He's going to go down for first blood.
SKT completely controlled the mid game, and a Piglet quadra kill would be all she wrote for TSM.
And the first victim will be Xpecial. He got the crescendo down, but it's not going to be enough to save them, as now Dyrus will be the second victim of the fight. That's a double kill for Piglet as he now flashes over the wall. Triple kill as he turns into Wild Turtle. This is going to be the quadra. Does pick up the quadra kill. Piglet, 8-2-3, is a terrifying Caitlyn. Ladies and gentlemen, SK Telecom T1 is your second team in Group A. They pick up the win against TSM. What a good game.
And with that quadra, it's going to be the only big kill we have coming into the Worlds here, so we'll have to see if somebody else can get something big on that scoreboard. But right now, let's see how all the action affected the Group A standings. That leaves China's OMG in control of the top spot with the only perfect record of the 10 teams in this group stage, while Korea's SKT T1 is holding down the second spot for now.
In third place, it's North America's Team Solo Mid at 2-2, with Europe's Lemon Dogs and the wildcard Gaming Gear rounding out the pack.
All right, gentlemen, so we have to kick off what we're going to talk about, the games that happened. Obviously, the final match of yesterday's group, or day 3, I should say, that was SKT versus Solo Mid. Go over that a little bit before we jump into today's games. Freak, why don't you start us off? That game, obviously, lot of people thought it was there for Team Solo Mid, but SKT was able to pull through.
Yeah, so TSM, they continued to expand their losing streak to Korean teams on LAN, unfortunately, but just like we saw them in Season 2, they keep putting out really close games. They team fight well, but there's always something that breaks them apart. This case, it was a failed 3-on-1 dive in the bottom lane, and it was Dyrus getting over-eager in the top lane, but outside of those, they would have kept a gold lead early on. They probably could have held some team fights together.
Well, Lemon Dogs had a gold lead early on against SK Telecom T1 as well, and we saw how that turned out. The Korean mid game is just so strong in terms of their vision control and rotations. Yes, TSM played the early game poorly, but even if they had everything had gone their way, I still think SK Telecom would have come out on top in that one.
See, I don't agree with that. I think the mistakes that TSM made could have put them way further ahead. I mean, a dive basically on a level 2 Renekton, then dodging the dive on top, because when Dyrus already dodged the dive on top, so he would be fine, especially knowing that SKT actually leaves the lanes in a bit of a freeze after they 2v1. They're not always pushing the lanes in, so Dyrus could have exploited that. They could have won out of the dive on bottom, then other one missed the flash later. I mean, not bashing TSM here, because they played a really nice game, but they were just this close to getting further ahead. Although you can never tell if SKT1 would have won the mid game or not. But yeah, conceptually, I feel like SKT1 was dropping the ball early on. Later in the game, they had some really sweet rotations, though. They really understand how the game gets played in mid-game. They turn around, and I think with their coach, they're gonna do a lot of analysis on what they did wrong, and I think they're just gonna get stronger and stronger. Because as you saw, like the first day they failed to dive really hard. The second day there was already a bit of improvement. They're basically going through the phases that other meta games went through like ages ago when 3v1 was really the thing.
And I talked to their coach, Koma, too, about that 3v1 situation, and he's definitely aware of the problems, and he promised me that for the rest of this week, for the second half, that we would see an entirely different SK Telecom, because I told him straight up that I was disappointed in how his team had been playing, and he understood and said it's going to change.
Yeah, I don't think there's any denying TSM outplayed them conceptually in the first 5 minutes, but I feel like Korean mid-game, late-game rotations, just how they control the game is so strong that if they just fix the first 5 minutes of their game, strategically they will be the strongest team in their group, and obviously mechanically you can see they're already outplaying TSM, who is, they're really good. I feel like if SKT just fixes up those first 5 minutes, they're going to be so strong.
So is any team, as we move on a little bit here into our next group, is any team here going to be able to beat OMG, or is this basically going to be a race coming in for second place here in this group?
That's a really interesting question, because I feel like SKT's first match against OMG, they only really lost because, once again, the first 5 minutes of the game, OMG did a 3v1 dive. That throws Korean teams off really hard, as we've seen, and they just snowballed an early lead. And if a Chinese team doesn't end up snowballing the early, this is going off what Monty said earlier too. If a Chinese team doesn't get that early lead against a Korean team, I feel like SKT's mid-game rotations will just outplay OMG.
And when we say it throws off a Korean team, I want to say it throws off SK Telecom specifically. We talked about this, but back when 3v1 diving was big in Champions Winter, SK Telecom were not a team yet. If we talk about other Korean teams, I think Ozone is going to be comfortable with it. And if we go further in this tournament, Najin Sword, do dive is their motto. They were well known for their early game dives, and so they will be completely fine with it, I have no doubts. So it's just a little, I think it's more team by team rather than region by region. But that said, SK Telecom I still think is the best team in the group. They're not going to fall to OMG twice.
See, I actually want to question that a little bit because they actually played Sword. SKT played Sword this season of OGN, and they went 1-1 in the group stage. They were still losing to a team who didn't even advance out of groups there. So they played against the Do Dive team, didn't hold it together there. Had
Sword stopped doing it, though. They stopped doing it. Like, they changed their strategy. So...
All right, well,
we don't see that same kind of... Ever since Mach Noon wasn't on the team anymore, we don't see that same kind of early turret diving.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I still think OMG, you give a lot of credit to SKT that they'll improve, but of course OMG can improve as well, and they've already shown the 1-0 lead. I think they'll keep shoring up their gameplay.
Not to mention that OMG showed that they can play a very deliberate game as well without those dives, so we can see that they've got a lot of dimensions. I think OMG is a fantastic team. I just think SK Telecom in the long run can edge them out.
We'll is there anybody in that group that's going to trounce OMG on that top spot?
If there's anybody, it's going to be SKT1, as these guys have said. They have a distinct difference in playstyle. Well, OMG is really scary in the team fights. SKT1 obviously well executing team fights as well. OMG is not afraid to dive at any point. I just think the fact that OMG is now 4-0, that means they have a little bit of leeway. They have a 1 game extra 1. They have room for error. They play without as much pressure, because if you're first in group, especially whenever you've played like these group type of matches, and you can play a lot more liberated. They might just go for the extra mile. Like, okay, I'm not sure if I can get this guy. Why not try? If it fails, so be it. We still have a lot of room for error.
Alrighty, well, we're all going to have to wait one more day to get the answers about Group A because tonight it's the teams of Group B that will be taking to the Rift. So let's take a look at the standings heading into the matches. Europe's Fnatic and Gambit are sitting in first with Korea's Samsung Galaxy Ozone and North America's Vulcan 1 game back in third, while Southeast Asia's Team Mineski is still looking to lock down their first win. So gentlemen, the first thing I want to discuss here are the two European powerhouses that are sitting on top of this right now. Is Europe coming out very strong here? Because even from Crepo, from the analyst desk, we've heard about faltering during the EU-LCS split. So is it just them coming out on the main stage?
They perform really well under pressure. Like Gambit and Fnatic, they've been around so long. Like they've played so many tournaments, and you can never count them out. Whenever you think like one of them is doing poorly, like a lot of people were writing off Fnatic after the Yorick pick already. They were sure like Ozone was going to bring it home. Ozone just continually kept dropping the ball. So I definitely think the two European teams are the strongest right here.
Monty?
Well, I mean, I agree. And if we consider Ozone here, because Gambit and Fnatic have been doing so well, they've been just digging themselves into a massive hole in the early game. So their mid-game can't save them. And even then, their mid-game's looking pretty weak compared to, say, SK Telecom T1. And one thing that really surprises me, I was talking to Imp earlier today, and he said that they were focusing beforehand more on kind of their fundamentals rather than doing the research on the other team, which I think really shows. And if you look historically at Ozone and how they were able to win Champions Winter, it was because they did an extreme amount of research. Mata always knew where to pink ward to kill the other wards. Dandy always knew the jungle pathing of the other jungle for his counter ganks, which is what he's famous for. And they designed strategies to kill specific teams. That's why when we saw them get into the finals against Blaze, it was such an impressive win. Blaze was on a 13-game win streak. Right. Ozone comes in, 3-0s them, and they did it because they had a plan. This is a team that succeeds due to planning and hasn't planned for this event. And so I think that's really showing.
I agree. They definitely seem like a shade of their former self, and they just don't show enough respect. Like when they played against Diamond's Eve, there should be pink wards all around the map, or there should be wards on the buff so you can pinpoint where she's going. Because if you play against an Evelyn, the entire mindset of the team has to change because she's invisible.
Right.
And it's really difficult, so you need those pink wards.
I've got to question that, though, because they came into this tournament, we're talking about Ozone here, they were already qualified weeks in advance, and got to see their opposing teams. And these are teams who have played LCS seasons. They can just look at footage, and they're used to preparing for, a week for their match. They got to prepare for 2 weeks for their match, and now you're saying, oh, it's a 2-day break, they're going to be okay, and I don't necessarily buy it for Ozone here. I think the European teams are consistently performing better.
Yeah, and the two things that stand out to me for European teams is, one, their consistency. I feel like the 3 European teams have played the most consistent throughout the entire group stage. And the other thing is that their mids are so good. These guys carry every game. If you just look at Nukeduck, XPK, Alexich, these guys have had great games, consistently good games throughout the entire group stage. But at the same time, if they have a bad game, I feel like their team falls apart.
And I also think that champion pools are really doing a big favor for the European teams in this group. We've seen mid ban, and then you're seeing Lissandra come out, and the Orianna, and the Pika keeps playing new champions, and Alexich keeps playing new champions that aren't getting run by the other teams. Whereas you look at Dade, and it's like, oh, you banned out Ryze. Oh shoot, do I still? Or sorry, you banned out Zed. Oh shoot, do I play Ryze well enough?
Happy and then ban Ryze.
The answer, yeah, please.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, guys, so talking about a few of these powerhouses, another team that we're also seeing that has a realistic chance to get their way out of the Group B is Vulcan. How are you guys feeling about their performance? We talk a bit about early game. That's where they get their win. We talk a bit about momentum for NA teams. Doublelift, let's start off with you being from the NA scene.
Yeah, like I originally, along with Kobe, predicted them to hit top 2. I still stand by that statement, even though they are pulling the Vulcan throw bargains where they just make one, every game they lose, they make one absolutely terrible, bronze level play.
You think they're going to finish top 2?
Yes, they're going to make it out of the groups,
wow.
Dude. Get on my level, son. And I do expect them to lose to Ozone, and it's because historically, I know Vulcan very well, and I feel like they are they're Ozone imitators with a little twist. And if you're an imitation, you can't beat the actual real thing. And I feel like their other loss against Gambit, they just made the Vulcan throw bargains happen in the first 8 minutes of the game.
When I hear you and Kobe talking about Vulcan, I feel like you're just staring wistfully into the horizon saying, if only they didn't make that bad play. But guess what, Doublelift? They always make the bad play.
I believe,
They always do.
I believe.
And so I don't see how you can say, yes, they're strong in the laning phase, but with the conceptual mistakes they make, they can never take advantage of it, and I don't see them capitalizing on this at all.
I think they have a chance if they run a more heavily aggressive team because they consistently get ahead early game. And if you take a page from like OMG's book, like get ahead early game and just like fight things all the time and dive people. And if Vulcan did a little bit of that, whereas Ozone's a little bit more like passive and control based in their mid game, if they like pulled an OMG and said, all right, early game lead, and then dive things, they've got a really good shot of snowballing past all the other teams in the group.
All right, gentlemen. So if this week has proven anything, it's that there is no shortage of intelligent, well-thought, and insightful opinions here at the Analyst Desk. It also has proven that you, the viewers, are a lot better at predicting the winners than Crepo over here, this guy. Let's take a look at the Analyst Desk standings. The viewers are sitting on top with a 16-4 record and riding a 5-game winning streak after correctly choosing all of Tuesday's victors. You guys are holding on to the back of that vehicle. They are pedal to the metal on. Then there's the rest of you. So good. Freak the Casters started Tuesday, tied for first, and then Jat happened. So was there any tension in the green room between the Casters, Freak?
No, I think we all believe in Kobe. He got us into first place in the beginning, and I think he can carry the weight here for the Casters.
So you're going to put it on the jungler?
I mean, I can hold my own, but Kobe's the carry.
All right, don't blame the jungler.
No. I said it's you blame Jat.
I'm not blaming Jat. I just was seeing if there was anything going on.
I believe in Kobe.
All right, we'll see. So before we get to our first predictions of the day, let's tell you who's playing first. Kicking off the action is Korea's Ozone, looking for revenge and a share of second place when they take on Gambit. Then Xpeke and the Red Hot Fnatic look to even the score against ManCloud and Vulcan.
Then after that, Team Mineski takes the stage against Alex Itch and Company, and then Fnatic looks to complete their sweep of Ozone. Finally, to round out the day, Vulcan tries to make it 2 in a row against Mineski.
Okay, gentlemen, so let's hear your picks. We're going for Ozone versus Gambit. Crepo, we're starting with you so you cannot sabotage anyone's picks.
Okay. I'll go with Gambit, so all the other guys probably want to pick another team, just giving that one out there. But yeah, I think Gambit has the edge here. They're playing solid, consistent. They're bringing the Bootcamp Gambit show again. Combined, their mid lane jungler combo is really hard to beat. Initially, I would have given it to Ozone, but like throughout the groups, we've seen that Ozone has been struggling and Gambit's just being really, really solid. So yeah, they're my pick.
You know, this is a really hard game to call, but I'm going to go with Ozone. And this is just a gut feeling of mine because I feel like Ozone won't make the same mistakes that they've been making the first 2 days, where Dade's champion pool is a problem. And they're just like, they're basically just super uncoordinated. It's so uncharacteristic of them to lose games like that. So my gut feeling just says Ozone. They're going to fix their problems.
I agree. I think it's going to be Ozone, although it is very difficult to call. I picked Gambit to get out of this group as well. And
they're your dark horse.
Yeah, they were my dark horse. Picked him to get out top 2 alongside Ozone. But Ozone is a preparation team, like I was saying earlier. They play to their opposition, whereas we look at the teams that have been successful, Gambit and Fnatic, they play their own style. Ozone counters your style. With a couple days, this is their last shot. If they don't come in here today and win against Gambit, I'm jumping off.
So this won't be Gambit's dark horse game then.
Well, I think they're going to get out anyway. Gambit's going to get out anyway.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think Monte Cristo's going to have to jump off the hype train here. I say Gambit for this one. So I'm with you, Crepo, here, that you probably going for that one.
Bold choice.
I believe in Gambit. I think that they showed it already. I don't think 2 days is enough for Ozone, who typically needs a week to get their stuff done. So I say Gambit here.
All right, gentlemen. Viewers, a split decision on the desk. If you think you can do better than these 4, and based on the standings, I think you can, head to lolesports.com and cast your ballot.
Just go to schedule, click on the Day 4 tab, and add your vote.
And then hit us up on Twitter and let us know which player has surprised you the most in Group B so far and why.
We are at LOL Esports, and be sure to use the hashtag Worlds. We'll be reading the best responses and trying to pronounce your Pronounce your Twitter handle later today.
I hope you have the Twitter handle.
I might get ruined. And if one of those answers just happens to be yours, you'll get a Logitech G602S gaming mouse.
All right, everyone, we got to take a short break, but when we return, Ozone and Gambit face off in our first game of Day 4. This Season 3 World Championship live from Los Angeles. We'll be right back in 3.5.